Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live Manchester United news and transfer news show. Lots of stories going about today, mixed stories. We're going to talk about Xavi Simons, Branthwaite, Euro, Todibo, Ugarte, doue, Zirkzee among names. Also reports on Mason Greenwood. If he is not sold in the next week and a half, he will be welcomed back to training. Could he be reintegrated into the team despite, sort of making it clear he could be sold if he's not sold? Well, I think he might be sold, but you just don't know of Man United. As soon as you think a player's going to be sold, they're not sold. We have got updates on Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka and Casemiro sales. Sancho situation, apparently he could go on to the end of August as teams are trying to do loan deals and mug Man United off. We got an update on Zirkzee and many stories, and I'll just get the breakdown of today's. Oh, no, I've not shared the right screen. Let me get the breakdown of today's video up for you guys. So this is everything that's going to be discussed in today's show. Lots and lots to get into. And I'm going to start with the first story about Man United's 80 million double deal before pre-season as well. So do let me know how the stream goes. If the quality drops, guys, just let me know at any point and I can change things around. Hopefully we don't have any connection issues or issues with my mic and camera disconnecting themselves this time. I also want to give heads up to anyone watching. I keep getting logged out of Twitter. I don't know if someone's trying to take my Twitter account or something, but I keep getting logged out. So if you see anything weird on there, it's probably not me. So just keep an eye on that. But I want to get into the first story, and this is from Ben Jacobs. So MUFC MPB, they're an aggregator account on Twitter that they put all the news out, but they also have a YouTube channel. And on their YouTube channel, they get guests like Ben Jacobs, Sam Pilger. I think they even got Romano on at one point. And Graham Bailey and other people, and their guests have obviously done an exclusive show. Now, I'm not going to say everything that was said in that show. Go watch that show. But I want to mention a few key things that was mentioned by Ben Jacobs in the show he did with MUFC MPB. And then we're going to get into the Mason Greenwood story, and then we're going to get into the other transfer news. Now, interestingly, Ben Jacobs mentioned something about Man United having 80 million to spend on a double deal before pre-season. 80 million to spend on the double deal before pre-season on two players. Now, I'd assume that goes on a centre-back and DM because they are the priorities. And looking at Ugarte, PSG want 50 million, but they know that they might not be able to recoup what they paid for him, which puts Ugarte in the 40 to 45 million mark, which means Man United would want, I think, a centre-back in the 40 million range and Ugarte in the 40 million range, or a centre-back in the 50 million range like Branthwaite and a midfielder in the 30 million range like Weaver and Fofana. I think there's two ways this goes. Fofana ain't going to move. Weaver, I think England will knock out Netherlands, although England haven't looked good. Netherlands and England have looked just as bad as each other. Netherlands, England and Italy, this tournament. But I think the double deal could be Zirkzee and Branthwaite. That comes to about 80 million. No, that comes to 90 million. Zirkzee and Ugarte comes to 80 million pounds. Ugarte and Todibo, if we can get that deal over the line, comes to 80 million pounds. Ugarte and doue would come to 80 million pounds. Branthwaite and Fofana would come to maybe 75, 80 million pounds. I think United are looking at that thinking, you know what? They've got their lawyers out on the Todibo situation. Everton don't seem to want to lower the price of Branthwaite, and United are getting their lawyers out on the Todibo situation. Part of me sees this as United going, you know what, this Todibo situation, we're going to find a loophole. We're going to get Todibo for 35 million, and then we've got 55 million. We've got 45 million left to get a DM. There's Fofana, there's Onana, there's a number of deals. I mean, there's also reports coming in that we're advancing on the Zirkzee deal, and Zirkzee to Man United's close, but 80 million on two signings. It could be Zirkzee and Ugarte. It could be Zirkzee and Branthwaite. It could be, a number of players. But I do think this is true. Do I think United will sign two players for 80 million by pre-season? I can't tell you that. But the story itself, I think, is somewhat true. I think that they're looking to sign two players, and I'd say Ben Jacobs will lowball it if he's got information from the club. I think they're looking to sign two players that are maybe in the 90, 100 million range. And I think that the players that they want to sign is probably Zirkzee, Branthwaite, and a midfielder, and then the rest will come through sales. That's what I think Man United want to do as well. I think that's what we're looking at as well. We're going to talk about the Greenwood news in a second as well. All the clubs just copying Everton when it comes to dealing with United. Even Bournemouth won't ball with us. The thing is, obviously it's not been an impressive start to the transfer window, but we have to calm down. Yeah, who have Chelsea brought? Tosin on a free and a load of youngsters, and they're the only club moving. Newcastle brought in Lloyd Kelly on a free and James Trafford. Okay. Aston Villa, yeah, they've brought in a few players. But if you actually look at it, who's Tottenham brought in? Nobody. Who's City brought in? Nobody. Who's Liverpool brought in? Nobody. Who's Arsenal brought in? Nobody. Who's United brought in? Nobody. So we have to calm down a little bit, because I'm like, oh, we're doing nothing. We've lost Elise, Branthwaite's out of our hands. Todibo, we might not be able to get for legal reasons. I understand the negativity. I understand people being frustrated with the transfer window and how it's going, but we have to look at it and say, well, look, nothing's really happening movement-wise. That being said, I want to see 2 deals by pre-season. You cannot go when the squad is the state that it is, and you've lost a player as key as Varane. We cannot go on pre-season without a centre back. We need a centre back so we can mould him in with Martinez, who probably will go to the end of Copa America and won't play much of pre-season. But for me, I think give Everton that 50 million with 5 million in add-ons. Take it or leave it bid for Branthwaite and get the lawyers out for Todibo. Zirkzee, we can't do anything till July because of his release clause, which is fine. But Todibo, Fofana, we can't do anything till after the Euros. But I want to see 2 deals. I want to see 2 deals done, 2 deals over the line. It's really important as well. I thought Ineos were all about secrecy revealing our budget. Well, when it says Ineos have 80 million to spend, I think that means 100 million. I think Ineos are going to lowball the budget, in all honesty, as well. We're going to talk about Xavi Simons in a second. Could we involve Sancho in a deal? Well, Rashford's the player that PSG have inquired about reportedly as well. And maybe everyone's waiting to the end of the Euros. I think a lot of clubs are waiting till July because PSR to make moves. And obviously the Euros doesn't help. And I think it is, yes, Man United are being slow. And yes, nothing's happened. And yes, it's frustrating. But I also think that every club is being slow. Look, I'd love Calafiore. A lot of people keep talking about Calafiore. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think Calafiore is going to United. I don't. Maybe if we miss out on Branthwaite, we try for Calafiore. But Italian players very rarely leave Italy. There's a lot of competition for him, and I think he would look for a Champions League club should he leave as well. I can't wait for that Zirkzee. Here we go. Well, we're going to talk about Zirkzee in a second, but let's talk about some news coming in on a potential Mason Greenwood return. According to the Disco Mirror, Manchester United are prepared to welcome Greenwood back. Man United prepared to welcome Greenwood back for pre-season training if they fail to sell him within the next 14 days. I think it's actually 11 days till pre-season training starts, what I've read. If he remains under contract, the forward will be eligible to report back for pre-season training with the rest of the squad, and United are due back on July 8th. Now, I think I read somewhere, and I don't know how true this is, that because of contractual issues with Greenwood's contract and now the case being dropped and he's had a year out on loan, Man United have to reintegrate him if he's at the club or something. I'm not sure, because obviously Sancho had his own training plan and they can agree a training plan with Greenwood. But it's only if Greenwood agrees to that. If Greenwood wants to train alone and agree to do a training plan elsewhere, he can do that if Greenwood agrees to that. But if Greenwood says, I want to come back and train with the squad and go on pre-season, apparently there's not much Man United can do contract-wise. Obviously, Ten Hag can say, you're not in my plans, I'm not going to take you on pre-season, like, you're not in my plans, because he's done that with players. I think we left a player at home like 2 years ago from pre-season because we knew that we were going to sell them. Like, that's happened in the past. If we know a player's up for sale, you'll leave them at home. So I don't know if he'll go on pre-season, but he may expect to be welcomed back to training, and maybe he'll be just chucked in with the youngsters. Maybe he'll integrate with the first team. But it's basically said that United will welcome Greenwood back to training if they can't sell him, and that doesn't surprise me. Ineos want to sell Greenwood. There's no doubt in my mind Ineos want to sell Greenwood. They want to avoid that issue, and with Greenwood, because he's homegrown, it is literally going to be pure profit in the eyes of PSR. It's going to be pure profit in the eyes of PSR. They can rip up his contract, but look, people say rip up Greenwood's contract. I get that, but it makes no sense to rip up Greenwood's contract. I'm going to tell you this now. Greenwood we can sell for 30 to 40 million pounds pure FFP profit. If we rip up Greenwood's contract, we've got to pay him like 15 million quid. If we keep Greenwood and sell him, we can get 40 million pure FFP profit. I understand the saying, just rip up his contract and get rid. I understand why people feel like that because of the situation. But in this financial situation, I'm just going to tell you, ripping up Greenwood's contract would be silly. And I understand why, but it would be silly. It would. Like, emotion aside, it makes no sense. People say, oh, we shouldn't profit on a case like this. Look at all the other clubs cheating and doing their stuff. 30-40 million pure FFP profit for Greenwood. So I understand it, but it wouldn't make logical sense to rip up his contract. So Ineos might just be like, well, he's here, we're going to sell him anyway in the window, we'll let him train for a couple of days. that wouldn't surprise me. Now, I think personally, if he is still here, he'll probably agree a training plan with Ineos, and he'll probably be training by himself or with other people or with the youngsters, because I think if he's not in the plans going forward, they won't want him to be so much reintegrated into the squad. I assume that Greenwood's sold in the next 14 days. To be honest, Lazio are interested, Juventus are interested, Valencia are interested, Napoli are interested. We're getting around 25 million offers. We're pushing for 30 million and 5 million in add-ons. I think we can get 30 million and 5 million in add-ons because he is a good player. It's obviously difficult because of the circumstances around him. 1 year left on his contract. He's got quite pricey wage demands. But I think ultimately a deal could be struck for Greenwood in the sort of fee that we want as well. And I think Greenwood himself wants to leave Man United. Like, it's been said that Greenwood himself is interested and open to leaving Manchester United. Even Greenwood himself is sort of closed that chapter about, staying at Manchester United there as well. Greenwood can sit and do nothing and get a wage next season and walk for free. Well, I don't think Greenwood will do that. I think considering he missed 1.5 years of his career because of the court case, I think he would probably not want to sit and do nothing for a year just to get a big wage at United. I think he'd probably half his wages to go elsewhere just so he can play regular football as well. Valencia want to get the Greenwood deal done. Now, what I'm hearing is Mason Greenwood does want to go to Valencia. All the information coming out from credible sources says Mason Greenwood wants to go to Valencia. Valencia will pay 25 million, United want 30 million. I think with the competition from Napoli and Juventus and Lazio for Greenwood, that could potentially prompt Valencia to up the price for Greenwood and give us sort of what we want deal-wise to Mason Greenwood. But it looks like his heart and head is set in staying in Spain. He's sort of learned a bit of the language. He's got used to being in Spain, Valencia. If nothing is done, he could even go back to Getafe on loan. 76 likes, guys, and over 450 people watching. So let's get to 250 likes. If half of you guys hit that like button, we will hit that target as well. I believe that Mason Greenwood will leave. Man United may welcome him back to training, but I know that Ineos want to sell him because, one, they don't have to deal with the whole issue around it, but two, it is pure FFP profit. He's someone that's seen us that can raise money. He's probably going to be our best. Him and McTominay are two players that can get us £35 million in pure FFP profit. That is our best bet, sort of money-wise as well. So, yeah, 100% believe that Mason Greenwood will be sold. It has said that Manchester United have inquired about Bologna winger Dan Ndoye, who's 23 and previously played for Ineos' own clubs, Lausanne and Nice, which does not surprise me in the slightest. He's someone that Ineos are aware of, and he is obviously balling out in the Euros, but I don't know if that's just Euro hypes and the fact that he played for both Ineos clubs that they're linking him to United. Now, one story that seems to be advancing is, of course, the sort of news about Zirkzee to Manchester United. And I'm going to get into that news. I'm going to get into that story in just a second. I've just been sent something from someone, and I want to just open this quickly. I just want to open this quickly because someone has sent me some information on United. I'm just going to see if it's relevant quickly. So, I've been sent this, okay? It's just something I've been sent from someone that gives me updates. He said Xavi Simons was one of the names that Man United spoke about with PSG. I've got confirmation on that on the source. He's an option that United are exploring. However, United would like an option to buy if they did do a loan with PSG for Xavi Simons. The idea of Ugarte going out on loan has also been discussed, but PSG would probably want an obligation to buy. It's just info that I've got sent right now. Yusuf Fofana will not be explored until after the Euros, but keep an eye on that one. João Gomez is a name that United have discussed, although no recent movement has happened with that. Desiree Doué is definitely an option being explored. Don't rule out Pedro Neto. Just been told this. Don't rule out Pedro Neto, but it would depend on fee. So that's just an email I got sent of some information there as well. So yeah, big up everybody as well. Someone said sell Rashford in winter if he does not perform. I think Rashford will stay, but there is talk about Rashford to PSG as well. Is the stream coming through all right? Is everything of decent quality, guys? Do let me know. But let's get into these next couple of stories. So what's been said on Joshua Zirkzee to Manchester United? It's said that Manchester United are in advanced talks with Joshua Zirkzee's representatives, and Zirkzee's agent is requesting in excess of 8 million in commission. So Ben Jacobs is saying we're in advanced talks with his agent. Now, there's been a lot of mixed reports on Zirkzee because there's a lot of reports saying, and this is not just from Italian media, this is from English media as well, suggesting that Zirkzee to Man United is quite advanced, is quite close, movement is happening, all of that. But then Romano is saying we've not made an official approach. So it's like, well, if Romano's saying we're not made official approach, but all these other sources saying there's contact going on, who are we meant to believe? Well, normally you believe Romano. Now, Romano doesn't say anything until he knows it's actually true, which means maybe Romano doesn't know and there has been contact. There's always that possibility. But the media are really pushing that has been contact with Zirkzee's agent. Man United will pay the money. And after Zirkzee's out of the Euros, he's going to have discussions with United. Now, Romano is staying. Zirkzee's focused on Milan. His preference is Milan. He's got an agreement with Milan, but United are an option. It depends if Milan pay the fee, is what Romano's sticking with. United's side is saying they believe they can tempt Zirkzee to come to Manchester United over Milan. They believe they can strike a deal with his agent who will lower the fee for them. Now, personally, I think this is Zirkzee's agent briefing that he'll lower the fee for United and United will pay what it takes for Zirkzee to scare Milan into paying what he wants. I think a lot of this news is probably coming from Zirkzee's agent to Ben Jacobs to try and get AC Milan to pay what they want for Zirkzee. I think United are interested in Zirkzee. I think United will pay Zirkzee's release clause, but we haven't got an agreement with the player, and AC Milan do. Zirkzee's first choice is AC Milan. So I don't trust that information. I trust Romano a lot more than I trust Ben Jacobs, and Sky Sports are often a bit slow on things. That as much as I'd like Zirkzee and I want to believe the Zirkzee news, I personally see him in an AC Milan shirt. United want David Zirkzee as a smokescreen. Well, apparently Jonathan David could be Tottenham bound. That was a little bit of information I got, is Jonathan David could be Tottenham bound. I got really interesting information actually earlier today. Newcastle are looking at some centre-back from Lyon apparently. I forgot his name, but he was Irish. Lyon, that is Irish. I got info today on a number of things, a number of stories actually, not just about United, but Newcastle were looking at Jake O'Brien was a story I got today, which that would be I don't know how good he is, but that's someone that Newcastle are looking at, and I do get a bit of news from other clubs and what they're looking at, and Jonathan David seems to be one for Spurs. So, in an update that I got earlier as well, someone said lag. What lag? Is there lag, or are you saying there's no lag and someone's lying saying there's lag? I don't know. Hopefully no lag as well. But guys, continue with that like button. Let's see if we can hit 250 likes before the end of the stream. 500 people watching, so literally if half of you hit the like button, we will hit that target as well. Continuing on, Zirkzee's poor. No, Zirkzee's a good player. For me, Zirkzee and Cunha was the type of striker I'd want. Zirkzee and Cunha is the type of striker that I'd want at Manchester United, because the way I look at it is, I want someone that can drop deep, receive the ball, and facilitate our wingers. We have wingers that are output, that are direct players that carry the ball. So you want a striker that can drop deep and pass the ball because they'll run ahead, like Harry Kane does. How much better is Saka than Foden with Harry Kane? Because Harry Kane can drop deep and facilitate it to Saka. The 2 minutes Anthony Gordon was on the pitch, Harry Kane woke up. So Zirkzee is one of those players with Garnacho and Rashford can work really well. Obviously, we've got Højlund. Højlund's a quality player. If we don't get Zirkzee, we need to sign a winger that is going to create like mad for Højlund. We need to sign a creative winger if we don't get Zirkzee. I'll tell you that for a fact. I think Zirkzee is a good option because he can drop deep and facilitate off the ball as well. Let's continue. Lindelof agreed to move, happy to go as well. United will open for 10 million. Lindelof is open to leaving Manchester United, is exploring his options, and will agree to moves elsewhere if he thinks the option is right. But Man United want to get at least 10 million for Lindelof as well. Do you think we're looking at that Swiss player? I don't know. Demartio is a good decent source of information saying we're looking at Dan and Doue. He's at Bologna. He's played for Nice own clubs. I mean, look, he is balling out in the Euros. He is a good player. He's 23 years of age. He can bring some experience, but he's no Elise. He's no Elise. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, when you go from Elise to Ndoye, it's a bit disappointing. He got 1 goal in the Serie A and 2 assists. I know he's not an output merchant, but he got 3 goals and 5 assists in 38 games last season in 2,000 minutes. I'm not. For me, there's better options out there as well. Hjulmand's been very impressive at the Euros. Hjulmand's one of those where he could be our Michael Carrick or he could be our Schneiderlin. Do you know what I mean? Like, we brought Schneiderlin to replace Michael Carrick and he wasn't it. Like, Hjulmand's one of those where he could be that Michael Carrick signing for United or he could be that Schneiderlin signing for United. I'm hit and miss on him because I think he requires a certain system, but I also think that he's a very good player, if I'm going to be honest as well. I've got mixed feelings on him as well. We got everybody in the chat. We don't need a right wing. For me, We need someone that can play left and right wing. Ahmad, Garnacho, and Rashford are the three safe wingers. Rashford and Garnacho can play on the left. Elise and Ahmad could play on the right. Fine, we've got Garnacho and Ahmad that can play on the right. Maybe we could get Xavi Simons to be back on the left for Rashford and maybe push him more. Or Desiree Doué. The thing is, I like the idea of Desiree Doué because he predominantly plays on the left, but he can play on the right if needed. He can play number 10 if needed because Rashford on the left, Garnacho on the right, but you've got Ahmad pushing Garnacho and you've got Desiree Doué pushing Rashford, and you can mould Desiree Doué in. You don't throw him in the deep end, and Desiree Doué can play central, and Desiree Doué can create for Højlund. So I've always been a big fan of the idea of Desiree Doué as well. Carrick's a super hard player to replace, no doubt in my mind. Like, I always thought Sneijderlin was going to be better than he was for United. So let's talk about it, because we obviously were speaking about Man United having 80 million to do a double deal in the transfer window. Now, I look at it and I think, Todibo's 35 million. Ugarte, I reckon PSG want 50 million. I reckon you can get a deal done for 45 million. That could be your centre-back and DM signing that you want done for 80 million. That could be it. Bish, bash, bosh. I mean, this is what was said. Ineos have hired a lawyer in an attempt to unblock the transfer of Jean-Claude Todibo to United. We're going to be keeping an eye on that case. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, takeover news and more, because we will be keeping an eye on the Todibo case. Manchester United believe that they can find a loophole to get the deal done. So for all the latest on that, if there is any updates, we will let you know. But it has been said by Ben Jacobs that PSG sources say that Manchester United's offer for Manuel Ugarte was worth £25 million. So Man United taking the mick, really testing the waters there with a £25 million offer for Ugarte. Also probably saying, like, lower the fee. So it was said that, PSG want 50 million. PSG pay 51 million. They want 50 million. I think they would settle on 50 million euros, which is 42 million pounds for a deal. And I think if United have got 80 million on two signings, that could be Zirkzee and Ugarte. That could be Ugarte and Todibo. Branthwaite's going to be 50 million. I think that could be one of the deals as well. 100%. Have you seen that Chelsea are in talks with Newcastle about a potential deal for Isak? Seeing they'd have to pay 115 million that they paid for Casado. I think Isak is going to sign a new contract at Arsenal. Newcastle. I think Isak stays at Newcastle. Isak and Bruno Guimaraes made a video about it today. I see them staying at Newcastle. I don't see them leaving. It looks like Isak's going to sign a new deal. Bruno Guimaraes seems to love Newcastle through and through. I think that, Chelsea would love Isak. Arsenal would love Isak, but they've got to spend like 150 million for Newcastle to consider selling, and that's a lot of money. With FFP this scenario, that's a lot of money. For Newcastle, they've got one of the most elite strikers in the world, but 150 million could go crazy at Newcastle, to be fair. But no, I don't think Chelsea are going for Isak. I think Gyökeres is the one to watch. Sesko's off the market. I think Gyökeres is the one to watch in regards to Chelsea and Arsenal. Jonathan David could keep an eye on that one, but I think he looks more Tottenham bound. United is Zirkzee. Zirkzee's the one to watch. Maybe Jonathan David is one to keep an eye out as well. Chelsea signed some kid from Barcelona. It's really hard to keep up with what Chelsea have done. They've signed Esteval. They've signed some kid from Barcelona. They've signed Amari Kellyman. They signed, Kendry Pires. They signed Angelo. They signed a load of other kids. And then now they're putting in bids for, like, Aaron and Salimo and stuff. If you're a Chelsea fan, you must be like, how do I keep up with this? What is going on? There's so much going on. I think Doogie tweeted something, if I can find it, just to show you how much money Chelsea have spent. Let me see if I can find this. This is it here. This is crazy. Look, I think some of these deals, are really good deals from Chelsea. I'm not going to deny that I think some of these deals are really good deals for Chelsea, but I feel like if I'm Chelsea, I get Esteval, I get Paez, who's not on this, and I get maybe like Cassidy, and that's it. But I think like 106 million in Wonder Kids is crazy. I don't think Chelsea are in a position where they can spend 100 million Wonder Kids. Like Esteval is 100%. I think that's fantastic business. Paez, fantastic business. Angelo could be great business, but all of them at once. It's like anytime there's a Wonder Kid, Chelsea are like, bosh. Yeah. So yeah. I say Esteval was 100% worth it. I think it's good to buy Wonder Kids like Chelsea have, but not to be buying like so many Wonder Kids. I think that's cheesy as well. Casemiro is open to a move to Saudi Arabia. He is indeed, but Saudi Arabia have made a little bit of a step back on Casemiro, but I don't know if that's just a negotiation tactic. Which brings us into the next story, which is setback on other key players. It said there's no panic to sell players at Everton anymore. They don't feel that Jarrod Branthwaite has to be their big outgoing. Everton are expected to stick to their valuation of Branthwaite, which is in excess of £70 million. Manchester United target Lenny Euro is expected to join Real Madrid. So there's looking like a bit of a blow on Branthwaite. It's looking like a blow on Yellow Euro, and we've got that big blow on Todibo, which is probably assuming why United are taking legal action on Todibo, because they now realise they can't get Euro, and they now might realise they can't get Branthwaite. And I don't think they're 100% on Bremer. I don't think they're 100% on De Ligt. I think Chalobah could be one to watch. Kilman Gay could be one to watch. I mean, if I'm United, I'm going for Diamonde. Kim and Jay's on the market. Diamonde's on the market. There are some really good names at right centre back on the market that I would like to see United go for. Even like a Lukami from Bologna, good option on the market. Everyone's talking about Calafiore, but Lukami could be a good one. Although I think he just got injured in his last game. But there's some really good options on the market centre back that I think we've got to explore, and we've got to do a bit better business. And obviously it's difficult because you don't have the whole recruitment team in, and we're not a team that's good at recruitment. But yeah, Sesko's another big miss. Yeah, but look at Sesko in the Euros. Didn't get a goal. Has been starved in all 3 games. Sesko at United would be no different to Højlund at United. Both of them would just be absolutely starved until we can sort out our midfield and winger situation. I don't see much happening with Sesko at United, because I just think I know we wanted Sesko, and apparently we would have paid 55 million to bring Sesko, but I think he would have been starved of service at United. He wouldn't have solved our issues. He's too similar to Højlund in that sense, both who've had stinky group games. Over 570 people watching, guys. Let's see if we can hit the 250 like target. Would be really appreciated. The worry is Ineos seem to be missing on the many first choices. Elise, Todibo, potentially Branthwaite. And I agree, this is the worrying thing. We're missing out on a lot of first choices. Maybe we do have to pay just that little bit more than we want to. But then that sends a message to other clubs, they'll pay in the end. That's the problem. Man City go in for the same players as us, and the price tag's instantly 10 million cheaper because they know Man City won't pay that. Because with United, they think, you know what, they'll pay that. They're desperate. That's the big problem. Other news coming in is that Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal are interested in Miros Kerkez. Bournemouth want in excess of 35 million. Another one. A 20 million player, Man United get linked to him. We want 35 million now. There's no point spending 35 million on a left back, particularly Kerkez, who's a good player, but he's not good enough to spend 35 million on. It was said that Everton are not interested in Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka. We spoke about a potential swap deal. It's saying that is not the case. Now, Lindelof to Everton made no sense. He's not a Sean Dyche player. But I do think Adam Wan-Bissaka could be a player of interest to Everton. It was said there has been discussions again between PSG and Manchester United for Marcus Rashford by Ben Jacobs. But I do think that Marcus Rashford will stay at United because the focus will be on offloading Greenwood, Sancho, and maybe even Anthony before they'd want to get rid of Rashford, which makes sense. I know a lot of people want to offload Rashford, but Greenwood and Sancho have to go for external reasons. Anthony is crap. You can't sell 4 wingers in one window. So I think Rashford isn't going anywhere unless there's a big 100 million plus bid coming in as well. Do you think Man United will slowly integrate Mason Greenwood back into the squad? I mean, there's potential, but I think he'll be gone, and I think a bid will come in for him as well. Manchester City are 115. Yeah, they are 115. I mean, cheating club as well. Euro said he wants Madrid, but they've made no moves towards signing him. Until it happens, surely there's a chance. Why Real Madrid have made no moves is because Euro's got 1 year left on his contract. They know that Lille won't want to use him for free, and he would just wait at Lille and go to them for free next season. So Real Madrid think, well, if we go for him right at the end of August, like we did for Camavinga, Lille will lower that £50 million valuation to £30 million, and we can get him on the cheap. That's what I think Real Madrid are doing. I really do. Bakayoko's a cheap option for the wing, and the same player as Doko. Bakayoko could be a really good option for United. I'm a big fan of Bakayoko. Now, the way I see it is, Elise was my number 1, he's gone. Nico Williams is my number 2, but his wages are too high. Pedro Neto would be my number 3 if he was available for the right price, but he's too injury prone. Which brings me on to number 4, would be Xavi Simons. Number 5, Desiree Doué. Number 6, Bakayoko. And number 7, Soulé. They're the options I like on the wing. Not this Bologna player we've been linked to. Not this player we get linked to here and there. They're the options I want in the wing. I don't know how we sign a winger because we're not going to prioritise it. When Greenwood is sold, maybe the funds go there in the wing. But I do want to see United do action because we need a winger. We do. We need a winger because we need depth. We've got Ahmad, Garnacho and Rashford. They're, for me, the only wingers that have got a potential future in the side. And, Ahmad's still not totally proven. Garnacho's still raw. And Rashford's been crap lately. So it's something we've got to look at. I want to get into this story here by Adam Crafton, though, and I want to hear your guys' thought as well. Manchester United are considering selling the naming rights to a refurbished Old Trafford or a newly built stadium as part owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe seeks to drive up revenues to fund the project. While the club is also... Sorry. I just had a yawn there. While the club is also deliberating over substantial ticket price rises. Man United have held exploratory talks with the major financial institutions, including Bank of America, as they explore a series of funding options to raise the capital required to cover a potentially multi-billion-pound project of a new stadium. Club sources have spoken anonymously due to the sensitivity of the matters, insisted that while discussions have taken place, no decisions have been made yet. I'm going to be honest. I don't like the idea of naming Old Trafford. I don't like the idea of selling our rights. It's a situation where Ineos need money because they have money, but not enough money to do what needs to be done, which is the frustration with, not getting Qatar and not getting the full sale. And they're trying to raise money, but I don't want to ruin the legacy of Old Trafford and change its name to raise money. At the end of the day, this is a Glazer problem. The Glazers have run this club to the ground for 18 years, mismanaged this club, that we're in a financial loophole where we do need to raise money. And I understand it from an economic standpoint. But Old Trafford is Old Trafford. It's iconic. Imagine being called the Apple Old Trafford. The Apple Old Trafford. It just... like the Mercedes Old Trafford. The Emirates Old Trafford. I don't like it. I don't like it. Old Trafford is Old Trafford. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I'm not a big fan of this story at all. Who cares? Who cares? It's money. It's only a name. I understand that mindset, but it's the history. Who cares what name's on the stadium? We still get called Old Trafford and get paid a fortune for rights. I get it from an economic and financial perspective, but I'm not a big fan of it. If I'm going to be honest, at the end of the day, and I think I saw someone sum this situation up very well. Let me show you something here, okay? Someone summed up and summarized this situation in what I would say was probably the perfect summary. And this was, I believe, from Adam as well. And he said this: if fans don't like this, that's more than fair. Tradition means something, and I'll always call it Old Trafford, regardless of naming rights. If someone wants to pay obscene money, which will help fund the future of this club and repair what the Glazers have done, go ahead. And I think that's how I feel on it. I think this tweet is probably the best way and the most accurate I feel on it. I think this sums up it. At the end of the day, it's Old Trafford to me. It'll always be Old Trafford. I'm not the biggest fan of it being gone. But if someone wants to pay absolutely obscene rights and obscene funds to get the rights, then go ahead, because that can go into the squad and rebuild the squad. I think that's the mixed feeling on the situation. It's like, well, actually, that could be better for the squad. That could be better for, what is considered the long-term plan at United. People saying United selling their soul, we could be the next Barcelona and all of that as well. Who knows? But yeah, if the name was something like Ineos Old Trafford, then I'm not against the stadium rights to raise money, especially if it raises $500 million. I mean, look, if it raises ridiculous money, like, you can't complain too much. The Etihad is named after the Etihad Airways. The Emirates. It's a common thing. It's just that Old Trafford has always been Old Trafford. It always has been Old Trafford, and that's the question. It's that sort of that heritage of the club, if you know what I mean. But listen, people, I'm going to round up today's live show here. Please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. If any interesting or breaking news comes out, there will be a bonus video tonight. So make sure you subscribe with the post notification bell, because there could be a bonus video tonight if we do get any breaking news stories. I'm going to keep you updated with everything going on in the transfer window as well. Yusuf Fofana is the deal that I want to see happen. The 20 million midfielder could be the bargain of the season, but let's see. Thank you for watching. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. See you next time. Bye.